enable.
The 13th Customer Fest Show, co-powered by Teragni Consulting, Gold Partners, Zendex and Genesis, Silver Partners, Q Degrees, Accentive and NetCarrots, Associate Partner, Zoho. Celebrating the people, technology, ideas and innovations that are transforming the way businesses acquire and retain customers.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome each and every one of you to the Customer Fest Show India 2020, our 13th edition, co-powered by Teragni Consulting. The customer expectations, ladies and gentlemen, are changing at a rapid pace, and organizations of all kinds that we will see in this room, all of you must change in order to keep up with them.
The 13th edition of Customer Fest Show kicked off with a lamp lighting ceremony, followed by opening keynote address by Jamshed Dabu, Managing Director, Trent Hypermarkets Limited, who spoke on the theme of excellence in customer experience, the role of strategy and leadership.
To my mind, customer experience has become an all-pervasive superstructure within which companies must flesh out their approach, their direction, and their strategy. But what is important is, unlike most superstructures, this is a living superstructure. And the superstructure itself keeps moving. And it's the job of leadership to be ahead of the curve, anticipate this movement, and make sure that the rest of the organization is excited by it and delivering as per the needs of the customer experience.
Following the keynote address, an esteemed panel of leaders came together to discuss the theme Leadership 4.0. Fortune favors the prepared mind. Are you ready for change?
As we usher in the fourth industrial revolution, or Industry 4.0 as we call it, there is also the need to usher in a new age of leadership. Let me begin perhaps with you, Madhu. Take us through how you put that strategic thinking into place. What sort of innovations have you done in the last couple of years that have really led you to success?
At the bottom of the pyramid, and when we talk about retail finance, majority of the customers, they don't have a credit track record. They are new to credit. And it's very easy to decide, when they have a credit background, it's very easy to decide what kind of finance you can give them. So, idea number one for us is that provide timely small credit to this common man. That's the overarching vision. The product should be timely, product should be easy administratable.
Let me also bring in Varun at this point, since we are talking financial services. What is that vision and strategy that you follow today to be a digital first company?
The customer will tell you what's wrong. And the minute we get to know what's wrong, we need to make those technology changes very, very fast. So we are a tech firm, we are not a fintech. Yeah. We are 8 weeks into our job, hopefully we'll succeed. What we're essentially trying to do is to say, hey, how to, if you think you buy a phone, you actually live a life. You don't buy a phone anymore. So how can I make sure that all financial services are available? And that world changes for you very fast. So we're really trying to think in weeks and not months.
Okay, all right. Let me also bring in Subramaniam. Healthcare, again, is a sector that's highly, highly critical. I'm sure you have process-oriented thinking within the organization. How do you really channelize that across geographies, across different continents, so to speak?
Each patient requirements are very, very different. So though we have a clinical outcome, clinical processes are very, very standardized. Right. We can't change that. Yeah. But when it comes to the question of experience, this is very different from each area. It depends on the culture. You know, what we create a process for a customer base or a guest relation in South is very different in a North, because the entire culture is different. So we need to create a processes in such a way that it suits that particular region.
Right. Okay. So Ashok, how do you ensure that the thousands of people who work for Schindler India are aligned, one, to the global goals of the company, and also then to India-specific organizational goals?
You know, the culture starts from top, starts from the leader of the organization. And you make sure that your culture defines along with the vision that you have for the company. So simple things that, something that we started in Schindler was A recent thing, like a Monday email from myself to all my staff. We have 4,500 employees in Schindler, down to a field technician who receives a personal email talking about my week's experiences, sharing life hacks, sharing the positives and negatives of my own journey,
Right.
and makes them feel more real.
Yeah.
And how do you make it a culture then in the organization that every leader is able to do that?
Rajesh, how do you attract new age customers to your brand?
At Lacoste, what we do is we have three-pronged approach to attract that new age customer. We use 3 strategies there.
Right.
And these are innovation, technology, and design.
Manish, how consumers react when a brand changes its identity?
We have a 10 million customer base, members base, who we selected a different cohorts to go and check as to what the value proposition in the new environment means. There are some themes which we immersed, so across 6 themes we analyzed, and we came up with almost 1,678 odd different brand names.
Wow.
Which came across.
Wow.
We got help from Interbrand, and we brought this narrow down to almost 30 odd brand names. We went back to the customers, a panel of customers plus our partners, our members. We tested it out and brought about 6 brand names, which was relevant. So Intermiles as a brand name came across out of a lot of research and deep understanding of what the customers are actually looking for.
2020 and beyond, we see few trends emerging. Number one, your customer wants to have one conversation. That means the customer will interact with you across multiple channels, and they want to have one needle of thread across all these conversations so that they feel that they're having interaction converting into a conversation.
Customer experience can only be designed well if we take into account the behaviors that we indulge in, the rationality that we choose or the irrationality that we choose, and the outcomes that come in as a result of such irrationality and such behavioral shifts.
Curated by Kamikaze B2B Media.
The 13th Customer Fest Show, co-powered by Teragni Consulting, Gold Partners, Zendex and Genesis, Silver Partners, Q Degrees, Accentive and NetCarrots, Associate Partner, Zoho. The 2-day event had 4 tracks and 110 plus speakers who shared their experiences across different tracks and multiple sessions. The 2020 edition of Customer Fest Show unveiled an all-new format. Post the morning tea break, a panel of industry experts came together in the Strategy Excellence track to deliberate on the theme of channel as a source of competitive advantage in developing a cost-effective customer strategy.
This topic is extremely close to my heart. I do feel that channels are absolutely critical in taking our products, our services to the end customer. They are the actual people who a lot of times are delivering the experience, the expertise, the guidance that we so want to measure and deliver to our customers, right? So brands got to figure out, what role, which of the channels, if at all, will play, and how do you match the right consumer for the right need to the right channel that he's supposed to end up with. How does one manage this journey of a customer who's omni, right? A brand who wants to be omni, and how do you bring it to your channels so that they can respond?
I personally feel omni-channel is here to stay. It's here to stay, and more or less, I think we as consumer, why treat consumer as somebody else? I'm very demanding. It's my expectation. So why shouldn't a consumer expect? Why should they expect, let's say Avon is only present through certain ladies who are going to work from home and you have to reach out to them? It's the expectation. So I think this needs to be handled. This can be very tricky as well, and I'm sure all of us face that challenge because one channel can be conflicting for another's interest, business interest.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
That business interest part has to be managed.
I think it's important to understand that, at times the brands kill themselves. Okay, so in omni-channel what happens and what we have seen, we are present at multiple places, online, offline, both. And we have seen, especially in the offline place, my competition is my own brand. Because I am approaching a customer through multiple channels, and there is a conflict which I am not being able to manage. So this is one aspect of omnichannel that, yes, I agree, omnichannel is going to stay for sure and forever. But the size and scale and the intensity of omnichannel will change.
In parallel, a panel discussion in the Tech Excellence track focused on the theme, The Future Enterprise, how leading organizations apply technology to gain insight, empathize with customers, and engage employees.
I would invite Gaurav to kind of share his thoughts with regards to insights per se, right? Both from the lives of customers and from the lives of employees. What are your thoughts with regards to how do you look at insights? What is the role that they play in terms of the overall ecosystem?
Enough kind of insights can come in from the private sources of data, from the public sources of data, and the industry data, which keeps on, like we get data almost every Thursday, and it's a war for us. It's a war kind of a situation, because based on that, you need to decide that what are you going to show next week. And for that, we keep on talking to our customers almost on a every month or every let's say few months kind of a time period.
Sunil, moving on to you, I mean, with regards to use of technology and digital, and from that perspective, how do you look at it? Both, I mean, it aiding you in terms of customer experience, as well as on the flip side, when something doesn't go wrong.
Typically, in terms of the experience, the digital experience that you can offer to your customer does not get limited by just having a very beautiful customer interface. Okay, but actually trying to create a customer journey, right? A unified customer journey, exactly the way the customer would like to interact with your product and service, right? An existing HDFC Bank customer would like to be treated differently, and therefore the journey for him, okay, should be thought accordingly.
The day continued with another insightful panel on the theme, Bang for the Buck from Customer Experience, Executive Perspective on Customer Experience, Cost or Profit Center.
If you want to be profitable, you need to know what is the cost, what is the revenue, and then if you know these two elements, you know whether you're going to be profitable or not. If this is important to you, so I think there's no better person than the banker, Saurabh. I'll draw you in, and you know, if you could talk about how do you measure the cost of serve? What are the measurements that each and every expert sitting here should go back and measure those elements to create a business case, and how would the cost of serve would be constituted?
When you set up a CX program, right, one, it is very critical to define what metrics you're going to measure and how are you going to link the outcome to that metrics, right? When you start a CX program, you link it back to some high-level metrics, whether the balances in the accounts are going to go high, whether the customers or the consumers are going to keep buying more products from me. When you build loyalty, that's going to happen. But that acts as like a deterrent at the starting stage when you don't know what is it you're trying to influence to be able to link the ROI to the CX program. So my advice to the audience here would be to identify those micro journeys which are easily manageable and measurable. So identify those micro journeys.
Let me just draw in very quickly Mohan, who can actually help us to think about if this is what your belief, that your belief system is you're going to put this cost, this is going to be your, you're going to make money and this is the timeline, but you're going to go and convince CFO. Mohan, if you have to put your point of view in the past that you've done or maybe with your experience, how do you take all this data and actually go to CFO?
Typically the three cycles that we also go about is, there is a business viability and the user desirability and technical feasibility. So if these three tenets are looked at from a business case standpoint, it is easy to convince any of the management to get that budget in. And also we are definitely, it's not something totally diverse because 36% of the industry was looking at customer experience before, and today we are, all of the industry is competing between themselves with about 89% focusing mainly on customer experience. So to bring in that focus into the organization, it's, like I said, it's a mandate to any company to look at this.
The 2020 edition of the Customer Fest Show witnessed breakout interactive roundtable discussions, which were a huge hit with the audience. This excellent networking opportunity encouraged sharing of ideas, business best practices, and discussions around topics which are relevant in the current business scenario.
True customer experience can only be provided once you have the customer insight, and this customer insight comes from the data, right? The data from the past and current customer interactions, and irrespective of the channel that the customer chose to interact with you in the past. You need to have the right set of technology to gain insights out of this data, and that's where we at Genesis use technologies like AI, cloud, digital and automation capabilities to make meaningful insights out of the data that we have.
Curated by Kamikaze B2B Media.
The 13th Customer Fest Show, co-powered by Teragni Consulting, Gold Partners, Zendex and Genesis, Silver Partners, Q Degrees, Accentive and NetCarrots, Associate Partner, Zoho. Customer expectations are evolving at a rapid pace, and organizations of all kinds must also change in order to avoid being left behind. The Customer Fest Show 2020 provided an opportunity to learn, share, and celebrate new and innovative ways in which customer service technologies are changing the way business is done. See where the world of customers is going and how to get there first. Engaging discussions on day one continued with a panel discussion on the theme, a well-defined customer journey and a strategy that moves your prospects, content, UX, digital marketing, and more.
The whole idea is to understand that how to create a perfect consumer experience journey in their respective organizations using the right mix of content, product experience, design, tech, distribution, and marketing, given the fact that today we are all living in a digital era. So I would probably start off with you, Julian, and if you could share your thoughts that at IBM, managing the global CRM platform for them, how do you manage this entire process of building a kick-ass consumer experience?
If you're looking to create a fantastic customer journey, there are so many components to that. And technology is one of those components. It's certainly not the only component. So knowing how to situate technology within your overall strategy, I think is really critical and something that I see go wrong all the time. My view is that technology exists at the very beginning and at the very end. That space in between the beginning and the end, that's your strategy, and everything has to be in there. But I think knowing how to situate technology in that strategic conversation is incredibly important in terms of getting the best outcome out of your application of that technology.
The day moved ahead with a perspective panel of industry leaders who spoke on the topic, delivering effortless customer journey and driving efficiencies, balancing the shift to digital and self-serve with human interaction.
What is your view on the current status of digitalization and how a company can choose what should be the path which creates effortless customer journey, protecting the brand value in faceless interactive world?
Various companies are at various stages of where they are on the digital journey, and with enabling regulations and all those aspects which can take many more companies to participate, and for those companies which are already participating to the next level, it is just that we have taken those baby steps. There's more to come. We will be seeing more experiences coming along the way.
Mr. Raja, can you explain how technology is redefining customer journey and bring hyper-personalization?
Context can only come from data, right? Frankly speaking, data is the new oil, right? The data in itself is useless. Use technology to decipher the data, use that data to kind of get into customer insight, use that customer insight to give a hyper-personalized support service, right? So that's exactly, it's very, very important, and that's going to be the differentiator, by the way.
All channels are not capable of providing the same levels of customer experience. But the insight that we've got from talking to channels is all of them want to provide the same level of experience. And that's the nub. And organizations which are progressive are providing the training and the tools necessary so that all their channels can provide the desired brand experience.
I think personalization is something which is going very old now. Individualization is taking over, so what we believe is hyper individualization will take place in times to come, so hence all services will have to be tailor-made with respect to each individual.
To enable brands to build this sense of loyalty in their customers, they need to invest in 3 T's, which is technology, tools and talent. When all of these come together, then brands will be able to build a sense of loyalty in their customers.
Curated by Kamikaze B2B Media.
The 13th Customer Fest Show, co-powered by Teragni Consulting, Gold Partners, Zendex and Genesis, Silver Partners, Q Degrees, Accentive and NetCarrots, Associate Partner, Zoho. The final panel of Day 1 spoke on the theme AI, Bots and Humans. The future customer journey is here.
Welcome everybody, the panelists. Before we start, some of you would have heard the session in the morning when we started. Then we talked about customer experience. We talked about 3 aspects, which was product leadership, how well we are doing in the product side of it, customer intimacy, and the third part, operational part of it. So if you look at it, we have presence from all the sectors to represent all of those. Okay? So let me ask you the first question. Okay, so ladies first. When we talk about artificial intelligence, analytics and all, as a business owner, the first thing comes to our mind is the KPIs, the numbers. How are you going to do those? So, Arandita, so on terms of driving marketing KPI versus on customer experience, how do you look at those?
If you look at a customer journey, there are many points of decision making that can stall that entire or disrupt that cycle. Now, AI actually comes in help there, where at every point the customer is sort of undecided or is stalling. How do you help that customer move forward? So that, I think, is the biggest thing, and it really depends from company to company, varies from business model to business model, how you mine and, sort of harvest that data, or at the end point, how is the customer behaving and what kind of assistance we are providing.
Atul, I want to come to you. You talked about you are in a business of promise, right? AI also claims they are in the business of trust, okay? How do you bring this to life? How do you bring trustable AI to life?
In life insurance, we don't have a tangible product. We're not selling a mobile phone. We're not selling a car. We're selling a promise. So trust is very important. And that is where I feel that it is very, very critical that when it comes to AI, the human element is extremely critical.
The day concluded with a leadership conversation with Tashi and Nungshi Malik, who have achieved several gender iconic milestones globally and are the world's first siblings and twins, as well as the first and the only South Asians to complete the Adventurers Grand Slam.
Nungshi, if I may start with you, what really made you want to take up mountain climbing as a sport?
Climbing and reaching the top of Mount Rudugera, our very first peak in the Indian Himalayas, which was about 18,000 feet. I remember standing there with my twin sister, sharing that beautiful moment, looking at the world and thinking, wow, we had so many myths about what we were capable of, and today all of that is shattered.
Tashi, was there resistance at any given point in time?
Our biggest challenge came because of our mom. Having 2 girls in the family, I think it was a dampener seen by a lot of people. So I think to convince mom was the biggest challenge. For her, I think she saw 2 girls, doing the same thing. So she was always a concerned mother, which we don't blame her.
Yeah.
But then it took a lot of us going back and training harder in order to prove that we were capable of doing what we want to do.
Day 2 of the Customer Fest Show 2020 began with the energetic leadership keynote panel on the theme Change What Matters, a discussion of changes that impact customer engagement and loyalty.
Sanjeev, he's from Kirloskar, so a large part of his business is B2B. What more does one require for a business customer to stay loyal?
To me, the way we define in our organization, in the B2B space, I give an analogy towards, let's say, the cricketer's eligibility for the next match. It is as good as his performance in the last match. And we start from that point of view. Just replace that statement of his performance in the last match with the customer segment experience in the last interaction. How good was that experience will decide all about loyalty.
And I come to Joydeep. How do you create loyalty in a situation where, one, it's a product while in its offering is new, but everyone knows about house cleaning?
To bring in more and more engagement, apart from the differentiation, we are, co-creating things with the customer. So say, for example, when our guys go today, okay, we send a checklist to the customer. Okay, and we tell the customer to see whether the guy is exactly doing what he's supposed to do. There are two things which are happening out here. One is transparency. We say in the outset what we can do, what we cannot do, and you make the customer the maker, a checker of the maker at the same time. So this is another angle of bringing in engagement. When you bring this sort of engagement, we have seen the possibility of the customer sticking with you for a longer period of time is high.
Fair point. And how about you? But every other ad from a health insurance company will say, we are the best, we are the cheapest, our resolution is the fastest, our coverage of hospitals is the fastest as well. In that case, how do you ensure loyalty?
We have confidence on our ability, once we attract a customer, to keep the customer for a long term because of our frictionless processes. The real challenge in a category like ours is that how do you attract more and how do you acquire more customers?
What are the challenges that you at NPCI are facing, given the fact that you guys are the biggest players here?
I think for us, it's really about expectations.
Okay.
Being in the digital space, all of us are so used to the immediate, experience, immediate gratification, whether it's a social media, whether it's communication, whether it is, instant messaging. And the end-to-end payment experience is also expected to be like that now.
With you, Suburban Diagnostics, everyone's talking about wellness and, this space itself is a buzz, even from a listed standpoint. How do you ensure that people come just to you as against the others?
One thing which you have to do is continuously and regularly you have to map the customer journey. And as you do that, you will realize that expectation of customers are changing very fast. A lot of solution nowadays lies in the technology. People want everything on the mobile app. Even their request should go through it. And even the vice versa when you're sending the reports and all things. So you have to keep on changing because every definition gets changed as the time evolves.
Curated by Kamikaze B2B Media.
The 13th Customer Fest Show, co-powered by Teragni Consulting, Gold Partners, Zendex and Genesis, Silver Partners, Q Degrees, Accentive and NetCarrots, Associate Partner, Zoho. The Customer Fest Show is the biggest gathering of senior professionals from across B2B and B2C sectors who converge under one roof to share best practices in the customer journey. Day 2 of the conference also witnessed Terangani Fireside Chat on the theme Connecting the Customer with Your Brand. How to leverage a customer-centric culture to drive stronger engagement with your employees and your customers.
Our topic today is customer-centric culture. Can we make that a serious competitive differentiator, and can we drive it sufficiently in an organization for it to become, one, a strategic imperative, and for it to make a difference to you from your business outcomes, from your personal outcomes, etc. Let me try and understand from my panel, what do they think of the state of customer-centric culture across the industries and the markets that they have been a part of?
When I look at it from my own vantage point, which is that of a CEO or managing director of a company, the matrices that your shareholders are looking at are, is there a growth in the business? Is the profitability growing? Is your working capital coming down? Are you giving more returns on capital employed to the shareholders? Now, some of these things are the primary tenets why a business exists.
Dipali, over to you.
Customer experience plays an important role, not only offline. Generally, when it comes, we think it's offline experience, but it's online as well. I first should know who's my customer. That's very important. As a marketer, being a marketer, that's my starting point. That who's the guy whom I'm talking to. That's my first job to know, because then, of course, I design my all plans, of course, with my product. I have to catch that person either offline or online.
As the day progressed, interesting perspectives by experts were shared on the topic Create the Future, a future based on data you can trust, analytics you can rely on, and the insights needed to make game-changing business decisions.
As you look at today's scenario, what we are looking at is consolidating all of the financials data, and we are giving better insights to executives in terms of how their cash position looks like, how it might look like in 6 months from now, depending and basis on doing data science, machine learning, on the historical data for customers, for suppliers, and giving better cash results to the executives. So how do you make market more stable? Is by giving consistent financial numbers to regulators, to SEC, to market, so that you can make more reliable outcomes and be more predictive about what you're doing.
One problem area that we identified was in terms of capturing data and storing it right. I think that's the bigger area, and one of the surveys that a global giant had conducted says 71% of the time of a data scientist goes in these two areas. I think the problem was to solve this first. I think how to store data correctly and how to ensure that it's a clean data for analytics or models to be lay on that.
Storage is one of the key problems or challenges that the banking domain itself faces, because we have all the structured data available in the banking domain, whether it's a customer going and buying something or a customer gives his personal information. Everything is available on the platform, and people sometimes are overwhelmed and just don't know how to go about the usage of it. So the technology that earlier was not present is very much available now, where we can access the big data at your own desktop, not wait for your technology team or your development team to actually bring in the data for you.
The afternoon panel on Day 2 discussed the theme Connect with the Connected, transforming the enterprise through customer experience.
The topic that we are going to be covering, Connect with the Connected, transforming enterprise through customer experience. Rules of the customer engagement is changing, so that's exactly what we're going to be discussing. Do you actually believe in personalization avatars? And do you also see some sort of gamification that can drive customer engagement? If yes, why?
The whole idea of selling a product through a traditional channel it's easiest to exist now. We're not in that time and age. Every single brand out there is fighting for a customer pie, fighting for his share of wallet. And in today's day and age, therefore, hyper-personalization is extremely crucial. Any product out there needs to come up with those innovative solutions that engage a customer in a manner that all of these check boxes are ticked, which I believe can only be managed through hyper-personalization, avatars, and gamification.
With employees acting as catalysts and driving customer journeys, one of the concluding tracks deliberated on the theme Engage people, change cultures, drive efficiency, and sustain excellence for continuous process and business improvements.
Coming to the topic that we have, it's a very broad topic when we say engage people, change cultures, and drive efficiency and sustain excellence. And this is for continuous business improvement and process improvement and so on. How do you motivate your employees, or how do you kind of go out and get business? Because you don't really directly interact with the consumers, right? You kind of do social media and all this marketing, but then how do you ensure conversions? How do you ensure, employee retention, customer retention, and conversions and experience and so on?
How do we create that culture? I think one thing that really holds us together and makes us feel really proud of what we do is that we actually believe that we are making a difference. If you're naturally aligned that you're here to take care of the users and take care of this core need of the user, there will be mistakes, there will be things that we will do right and wrong, but you will be rewarded, recognized, and acknowledged and be taken from one position to the other if you show the willingness to make a difference to this whole purpose of finding more and more people find their loved ones. So that's basically the basic principle that we operate at.
On day 2 of the Customer Fest Show, Kamikaze proudly announced its new initiative, Women in Tech 2020, with the theme Unlocking the Female Catalyst in Tech.
Curated by Kamikaze B2B Media.
The 13th Customer Fest Show, co-powered by Teragni Consulting, Gold Partners, Zendex and Genesis, Silver Partners, Q Degrees, Accentive and NetCarrots, Associate Partner, Zoho. The evening ended with the 13th edition of the industry's most awaited awards night that felicitated individuals and companies who have excelled over the past 1 year in their endeavor to achieve customer excellence.
Welcome. This is the 13th edition of the Customer Fest Awards 2020, presented by Zendesk. Customer Fest Awards 2020, they're the only awards to recognize the customer journey across loyalty, experience, and analytics. So, ladies and gentlemen, in this edition, we had close to 200 nominations, which were all evaluated by our esteemed jury. With each one of our nominees, the esteemed jury had a telephonic evaluation and rated their nominations across a 5-point parameter. First award is Best Loyalty Program in Retail Sector, Large Multi-Brand Format. And the winner is?
First Citizen Shoppers Stop Limited.
Best Loyalty Program in Retail Sector, Single Specialty Format. And the winner is Bata Club, Bata India Limited. Moving on, the next category, Best Loyalty Program in Financial Sector, Non-Banking.
We have joint winners. The first one is Privilege Club, Aditya Birla Sun Life. Second winner is Shop and Smile, SBI card.
Moving on, the next category is Best Loyalty Program in Auto Sector. The winner is Honda Joy Club, Honda Motorcycle and Scooter India Private Limited. Best Customer Experience in Services Sector. The winner is
ICICI Lombard General Insurance.
The next category is Best Customer Experience in Utilities Sector. The winner is
Indraprasth Gas Limited.
The next category is Best Customer Experience in B2B Sector. And the winner is
Tata Astrum HR Sheets and Coils.
The next category is Best Use of Gamification to Enhance Loyalty. And the winner is
Titan Encircle Program.
The final category in this set, Best Use of Insights to Enhance Customer Experience.
They are joint winners. The first one is You Promise We Resume, D2H.
The second winner, the same category.
Project Umbrella from HP India Sales Private Limited.
Thank you so much, our presenters. Thank you so much for joining us on stage. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome on stage our next set of presenters. And to do us the honors, we invite commercial leader Zendesk. Please welcome Yeshas Prasad. And also joining us on stage, President NetCarrots, Mr. Manu Dogra. All right, well, the first category is Best Use of Relationship Marketing in a Loyalty Program, B2B, and the winner is?
Johnson Nayak, H&R Johnson India Division.
Moving on to the next category, which is Best Use of Technology in a Loyalty Program. Up next, and the winner is...
We have joint winners, that is Cortiva Roots, Cortiva AgriScience.
The second winner in this category is...
That's Shop Remarketing Intermiles.
The next category is Best Customer Service Initiative, and the winner is...
Ambuja Cements.
Best Customer-Centric Company, and the winner is...
L&T Reality.
A big thank you to our presenters as well. And we're going to invite on stage Mr. K.T. Prasad and Mr. Harish Bhatia. Please join us. The next category is Best Use of Contests, Promotions in a Loyalty Program. And the winner is...
Big Bazaar Profit Club, Future Group.
Next category is Best Customer Engagement Strategy for a Female Audience. And the winner is...
Aditya Birla Health Insurance Company Limited.
The next category is Best Customer Experience Transformation.
Customer Advisory Team, Max Life Insurance Company Limited.
The next category, Best Customer Experience Vendor Consultant Service Provider. And the winner is...
Two winners. The first one is Hansa Research.
The second winner is Q Degrees Services Private Limited. I'd like to say thank you to our presenters. Thank you for joining us on stage. We're going to move on to our final set of awards. We welcome onto stage Enterprise Lead Zendesk, Vandana Tanna, to kindly join us. Going to welcome Mr. D.Y. Patil, Director, Guru Nanak Institute of Management. The next award category is Best Use of Technology to Enhance Customer Experience. And the winner in this award category is Tata Motors Limited. The next category is Best Digital Customer Experience Initiative. And the winners are...
There are three winners here. First one, Reliance General Insurance Company Limited.
Moving on, we've got another winner in this same category. And the winner is IIFL Securities Limited. The third winner in this category, Bajaj Alliance Life Insurance Company. Moving on, we've got the next category, which is Best Alternative or Digital Payments Program of the Year. And the winner is...
ICICI Prudential Life Insurance Company Limited.
A big thank you to our presenters as well. And we're going to invite on stage Mr. K.T. Prasad and Mr. Harish Bhatia. Please join us. We've got Champion of Champions Loyalty Program of the Year.
Master Scan Program, Gulf Oil Lubricants India Limited.
And we've got the next category, which is Loyalty Team of the Year. And the winner is
Shoppers Stop Limited, First Citizens Club.
Customer Experience Team of the Year. And the winners are
DBS Bank India Limited.
in this category. The second winner, we've got Edelweiss Wealth Management.
Let's hear it from the man himself, who has put this together with his team. Mr. Harish Bhatia, founder and CEO, Kamikaze B2B Media. We look forward to another impressive performance from the team Kamikaze in 2021.
This event used to have two themes for the past 12 years, customer loyalty and customer experience. With changing times, we decided to rebrand this event into an all-new format, where we covered the entire customer journey in 4 different tracks: technology, strategy, people engagement, and data. A refreshing change, and personally we've achieved our objective of repositioning our brand in a very difficult market scenario. Happy to build on it in the years ahead.
Conceived and managed by Kamikaze B2B Media.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.